Magical Mystery School, and thank you so much for coming back. And we're going to do Symbols of the Tarot Class 16, and we're going to be looking at Key 15, the Devil. Ooh, spooky, scary, right? So we're still on the Fool's Journey through the major arcana. And I should also say, if you're just finding this channel for the first time, feel free to go to the channel, go to the playlist for Symbols of the Tarot, and start at the beginning. We're starting out with the major arcana here. So anyway, and please like and subscribe. Thank you. Anyway, so we just got done with the Temperance key, and we're feeling pretty good about ourselves, right? We're feeling pretty cool, pretty awesome. We're getting things balanced out. We've got a glimmer of what spiritual freedom is all about, and we're really ready to be our authentic selves, to really go deeper into who we really are. So we're on this we're on the third stage of spiritual unfoldment here, and we're right at the beginning. And this is going to be where we're discovering what further things are keeping us in bondage, things that may actually be kind of unconscious to us, basically. Because when we come into this as this spiritual being, as we come into this physical life here, I mean, the physical sensations of this earthly plane and the beauty and the sensuality can be pretty intoxicating and kind of maybe knock us off balance sometime, even though we've learned how to get back into balance here quite a bit. All right. So we do want to keep going forward, but easier said than done. And so we start encountering some struggles. Even though, we've just gotten off this, hey, I'm all cool. And sometimes after this stage, our ego might be a little inflated too. But we do know that the freedom of spirituality is real, and it is out there. But anyway, so sometimes though, not everything happens the way we want it to. We really want something, and we think we've been a real clear channel or whatever, and we don't get what we want. We feel kind of defeated and such. And we're asking, why, universe? Why can't I have what I want? Why can't I be who I want to be? Live in the house I want to live in, all those things. And we tend to start to blame God, and we're starting to think, well, maybe the devil and God are just two different sides of the same coin. And we can even go down into depression. Notice the blackness in this card, so that we can feel depressed, feel insecure. Those kinds of feelings can really start to set in. Now, this card also represents addictions, and it can be really just subtle, simple addictions, such as, you come home from work and you flip on the TV, you get up in the morning and you look at your phone, those kinds of things. So it could be as simple as that, but it can be even darker, deeper addictions and depressions. I don't know if you've ever gone that deep down where you felt like you were in that black hole and you can't even see the light of day or any kind of light. And that can also be part of this devil card. And notice that those addictions are represented by these two characters that are chained to this devil type character. So that is that slavery of addiction. Okay, so I think that's enough for an introduction. And so I'm going to put you on pause and bring the camera down, and we can look at this card in a lot more detail and those symbols hidden in here. Okie doke. Okay, so here we go with our devil card up close and personal here. And so key 15, and to a salute to our numerologist here, 1 and 5 is 6. And so we can see a definite correlation between key 6 and key 15. They look very, very similar to us. Now this is the Archangel Uriel, the devil, and this would, just as a reminder, this is Archangel Raphael. And Uriel is kind of the angel of light and shadow, because remember, wherever you have light, you're going to have a shadow, basically, and of God or universal consciousness, however you want to think about that. And the other archangels that we have in the tarot deck is, remember, here's Michael, that was in the Temperance card, and then we haven't gotten to key 20 yet, but here's Gabrielle, that's in key 20. So those wings are a dead giveaway that we're looking at angels here. I keep dropping my cards and such. Okay, now after that kind of depressing talk about addictions and depression, I do want to point out this little white beard, and it doesn't show up real good in the, so this is a Rider-Waite-Smith deck, and this is the BOTA deck. But it does have that white beard, and remember, the white beard is always kind of referring back to the Ancient of Days and wisdom, and that we really do have the ability to come to terms with this shadow side of ourselves that may just simply be immaturity or simple humanness that we have to work through. Oh, and this is me. Okay, now the Hebrew letter for key 15 is ayin, and it means the eyes. And that's really, the eyes are kind of the top senses, kind of like when we see the lion in tarot cards, we think of the, king of the jungle, so he kind of represents all animals. Same with eyes. It can kind of represent all the senses. Now, the eye, again, is referring to, sometimes we can see life in a little bit too much of a superficial appearance, basically. And it's also that referring to that where we kind of, I don't believe it unless I can see it kind of thing. So, so that's that superficiality, basically, that this card can kind of bring on us. Now, the devil, key 15, also represents Capricorn, the sea goat, cardinal earth. It rules the knees, and sometimes that's what they say, that the struggles of the human existence brings us to our knees in prayer because of all that insecurity and such. Now, Capricorn is typically considered a fairly serious, quiet sign. They're good with money, that cardinal earth. And they can be a little kinky, as you can see here. The color for Capricorn, as well as key 15, is blue, violet, or indigo. The tone for meditating and such is A, natural. Its ruler is Saturn, which you can see right there in the palm of his hand. And I'll show you a big picture of the glyph. Hopefully my focus stays good. There it is. That's up there in the palm of his hand. And I also thought it was really interesting when the first I saw this key, and notice how he's got his hand and he's separated his fingers like that. And I remember when I was a kid watching Star Trek, we were all trying to do that to be like Mr. Spock. And you remember Mr. Spock was sort of a devil-like looking character. He had those pointy ears and was very serious and that kind of thing. So, I don't know, maybe Gene Roddenberry was interested in tarot and took the Spock figure from this devil card. But Saturn is the ruler of Capricorn, and Mars is exalted in Capricorn, and that's reflected by the red eyes here and the burning torch. Mars is quite the fiery planet out there. We can also see he's got horns for the goat, right? His ears, though, are the donkey's ears, and I thought this was interesting. One time I was taking a writing class, and they said when horses get scared, they run. When donkeys get scared, they stay put. So that was perfect for Capricorn. Now his wings are bat's wings, and that's a creature of the night and darkness, all that blackness behind in the background there. And his body is orange, and that's reflecting, earth tones and such. Now the masculine and feminine, the genders type stuff is kind of weird in this card. You'll actually see when I pull out at the end, I'll pull out that, well, I'll go ahead and put it out right now. The historical card, and you can see I've got all sorts of little stickies all over this guy. Remember, YouTube doesn't like the exposing of breasts and male genitalia and such. And in this card, you can see his male genitalia, and he's got women's breasts, and both of the figures have both genders on their body. But in the BOTA deck, they do have a masculine and a feminine side, whereas the figures that are chained to the half cube there are female above, and depending on the female and the male, they've got their gender at least straight on that one. So I think that's interesting. This is from that Marseille deck, that Renaissance deck. So this is that historical image of the Diable, the devil. Okay. Now let's also look at this upside down pentagram. Now the right side up pentagram stands for humanity. Because think about if you're standing on the ground with your arms stretched out, you've got the head at the top and the two arms and then the 2 feet for the pentagram. But when it's upside down, that's kind of denoting or referring to that we've kind of maybe made some mistakes. And I think the first one that comes to my mind, or the main one that comes to my mind, is this whole idea of dominance of the earth, that the humanity is the ruling species on earth, and we can control all the animals and the plants and pull out all the resources and minerals out of the earth's body and that kind of thing. And maybe instead of, maybe that's the upside down image of that idea. Whereas if we were right side up, maybe we would think of ourselves more as stewards of the earth, as gardeners, as taking care of all the animals, that they are kind of like our children, that we're sort of their caretakers, basically. So that's that idea of that upside down pentagram. And also notice it's right on his forehead. So that's again that mental, sometimes those mental ideas of ours can get us in trouble along those lines. We can also see his feet or claws, and they're claws of the eagle. And that's again referring back to Scorpio. Remember, the ancient ruler of Scorpio is Mars. So we're getting a little bit of Mars activity here too. And that half cube, remember the high priestess, the emperor, are all sitting on full cubes. And the full cube basically represents past, present, and future. And the half cube again refers back to just seeing kind of the surface of things and not going into the depths. And you'll notice too that the 2 figures that are chained to this cube are starting to look like the devil. They're sprouting horns here in the BOTA deck. They even have hooves for feet. Now they still reflect back. Notice she's got the pomegranate for a tail, and here's the tree, with the pomegranates, and then the flame here on his tail, and he's got flames behind him. So again, referring back to that card or key. And but one thing really to notice about these 2 figures is notice how the chains around their neck are really quite loose. They could lift those over their head and just simply walk away. But when you're addicted to something, that can be kind of difficult. But it is telling us that freedom is very possible. and that it is an imaginary or a mental construct, this being bonded to this devil figure here. Now, how do we deal with all this? Well, really think about this character is, he's a mishmash of bats and goats and donkeys and male and female, and, he's really a conglomeration of a bunch of weird, incongruous stuff. And now, I've never read this in any other place but in the BOTA literature, but that this card also represents mirth because of all these incongruities. And that is the definition of humor, is finding incongruity in things. Because laughter can really purify our subconsciousness. It helps us release, negative energy and discord. In fact, there's an Egyptian kind of story about that priests are to go out in the morning and wash their hands and faces in water and wash their hearts in laughter and joy. So sometimes, we do have to just sit back and try to let go of things. And here in the States, we've been dealing with our own orange devil here the last few years. And it amazes me how our comedians are the ones that are taking this devil down a notch or two, the best out of any newscaster or anything at all. So I think that's kind of interesting. So keep that idea of mirth as a way to get out of that negativity in your life. Now, the other thing to be aware of with this card, that these adversaries and adverse situations that we come into are really a service to us. Now, I know, when everybody said, every problem is an opportunity, like gag, right? I don't want to have these problems. But what this is referring to in this card is that sometimes we have to have these problems. We have to have, this irritation, basically, of these issues to finally get us to throw off these chains and to go into a new direction. So sometimes when something's really, really irritating you, it's really for the best. And the other thing, too, about accepting our existence here on this physical plane, sometimes we just can't see the whole picture. There are things that are hidden, that are occult, especially to our mind, to this upside down pentagram here. Our spiritual path isn't always, a mental thing. It's kind of a knowing, beyond just figuring it out. So sometimes we have to have faith in that deep understanding deep inside of us. And of course, my focus went right at the end here. Let's see if I can get it back. Yeah. Okay, great. So anyway, that pretty much goes over the different symbols in the devil card. And I hope you found this fun. And just remember, just like I always say, from there to here, from here to there, funny things are everywhere. And that includes this icky devil. All right, bye guys, and thank you so much.